Hi there. I'm Konner with the Cycle.io team, and I'm really excited to be starting a new series called the Cycle Spotlight. Cycle Spotlight is going to be me meeting with industry leaders, Cycle users, spending about 4 to 5 minutes chatting about all things DevOps and software engineering through the lens of our platform, Cycle.io. That being said, excited to have our first guest on the Spotlight, founder and CEO of Cycle, Jake Warner. And Jake, let's just rewind 9 years. To simply put it, why'd you build Cycle?
Yeah, so if we rewind back to 2014, 2015, I started building Cycle because at that time I'd already had experience with OpenStack. I had been working at a company called SingleHop, which was a bare metal infrastructure service company at the time. And already I'd started to see the iterations of developers kind of getting lost in their tooling, or tools being built to solve too many problems, or being able to take a solution and have too many different ways to approach the solution, right? And I think if we kind of go back and look at history, or maybe not history, but if we go back and take a look at how things kind of played out with OpenStack. OpenStack and now Kubernetes have a very similar trend. And I mean, I know I'm speaking a little preemptively with Kubernetes here, but I'm a believer that as time goes on, we're going to see more of the hype around Kubernetes die off, and at some point, more and more people are going to start looking for solutions. But with OpenStack, we really saw things go from where not enough people knew what OpenStack was to a lot of people were talking about OpenStack, and if you weren't using OpenStack, people in the community who had this kind of like negative view of you. They're like, why is this person not using that? But then fast forward a few years, and no one wanted to use OpenStack anymore because it was just too hard to manage. There was too many different projects. There was a lot of lack of standards between different projects and things like that. So it just became hard to maintain. So the goal with Cycle was to be able to provide a platform to DevOps teams and developers that allowed them to spend their time on the things that really mattered towards their business. And it's something that we talk about very often within the company, is having the 80-20, right? And the goal, the philosophy around that is that out of all the companies out there that have DevOps needs, et cetera, 80% of those DevOps needs are probably the same between companies A, B, C, and D. Regardless of what industry they're in, regardless of their size, there's a common subset of problems that every company has. So the goal of Cycle is, how do we focus very intensely and have an opinionated take on that 80%, so that way organizations can focus on that 20% that is very unique to their business and or to their industry, et cetera. And so, yeah, the whole idea of Cycle was, how do we build that product? How do we focus on that 80%? How do we remove that 80% of those stresses for those companies? Let them focus on the 20%. And then at the same time, how do we make it a very easy to maintain model, right? So with Cycle, we do that through automatic updates. We've been doing those for many years now. And it's something that really resonates with a lot of our users. So I know that's surface level, but in a nutshell, I think that's why, if we kind of think back to why we built Cycle, I'd say that's a high-level dive into it.
Yeah, that's awesome insight. And really quickly, then why didn't you build on top of Kubernetes? It's of the mindset that with adding more layers to a complex machine only makes it more complex. And sometimes you need to get down to the foundation, to the low-level primitives, and build up from there to have the full control and influence that you need. Yes, building Cycle from the ground up did take a lot of time, and it took a lot of experience. But the benefit here is that there's no parts of Cycle that are hacked together, or we don't have to worry about compatibility issues, because everything is one platform. Everything is purpose-built to solve the specific use case.